Today's episode of Tremaine Sci-Fi Hour contains a brief mention of suicide. Please viewer discretion is advised. Hello and welcome to Tremaine Sci-Fi Hour. Today we are discussing alien invasions. To kick us off, Jag, what's your favourite alien invasion story?
So I really do like Jeff Wayne's musical version of The War of the Worlds. It might not be the best in terms of story, but as a production, in terms of like presentation, I think it's really up there.
Right, okay. And what is The War of the Worlds for people?
Ooh, so the actual War of the Worlds is H.G. Wells. So it is considered to be one of the earlier examples of science fiction. And it comes off the back of the earlier just invasion fiction, which was popular up till World War One. After which invasion fiction became a lot less popular for some reason.
Right. Okay, so H.G. Wells, and the story I believe was told by the guy who drinks champagne in there.
Orson Welles?
Orson Welles, yes. He was the one that told it, and it caused panic.
So he did the radio program, and the idea of the mass panic, probably not real.
Right.
There is this great big idea of it was presented as a real like news broadcast. People who came in halfway through wouldn't have heard that little bit of this is a show. But the radio presentation really wasn't done as a real thing. It had characters, it was more like an audio book than.
Right.
I mean, yeah, you think of radio dramas. I personally think of like the old Batman or Superman radio dramas, where they foley out the action, so that does have like wham, pow, that's right, Batman sort of stuff, and it's like you're not gonna think that's real.
Right. Okay, and Jodar, what's your favourite alien invasion story?
Mars Attacks.
And what's that about?
It's about aliens invading Earth.
Thank you.
I mean that's the theme of our episode. So what else would it be about?
I mean, more like give me some storylines, some other stuff, not just.
I mean, I see it as more of a comedy-based, like comedy-focused, alien invasion story. I could see where it would be scary to people. But it deals with like a White House scientist catching like a frequency of aliens and like talking to it, and they kind of just show up on Earth and they're like, "We come in peace." And the spoiler alert, they don't. And they start killing everyone. And the end of the movie, they find out that one of the main characters' grandma's music makes their head explode. So they just go around playing old folks' music to kill all the aliens.
Well, yeah, that's a real good comedy, Joe. Yeah.
It has a really stacked cast. It has Jack Nicholson, Danny DeVito.
Danny DeVito.
Who else was in it?
Jack
I
Black.
can't off the top of my yeah. Oh yeah, Jack Black.
Tom Jones.
Tom Jones.
It has like a really stacked cast.
Tom Jones. The green crash.
Made by Tim Burton, the CGI is actually really good.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
and
It's
I
hard to
was
explain
about
because it's
6,
really
so it
out
was
there.
terrifying.
Right. Okay.
I think I was 8 when I first watched it.
It's definitely funny. But yeah, it's got that Tim Burton creepiness to it. But my word, yeah.
8 years
Boingo
old.
Boingo did the music.
Oh,
It is really well. Danny Elfman did it, but with the help of the rest of his band, I think. It was really good.
It follows different characters throughout this movie that have their different storylines. So there's multiple storylines that kind of converge over the span of the movie, which is nice. Keeps you interested.
right. Okay. So,
And it's set in different settings too, mostly in Vegas and then DC. Um, but there's different settings too, so it's hard to explain specific details because there's a lot going on. But I do recommend watching it. A lot of people my age haven't watched it because it is an older movie. I think it came out in what, 92? It's in the 90s,
96, yeah.
96.
But boy, as I said, the CGI really does, hold up.
Yeah, it
It doesn't,
does.
which is amazing. I mean, a lot of stuff from then doesn't, and then fully CGI'd aliens, and it works.
Yeah, and they're they in their spaceships, they don't wear clothes, just little undies. It's so funny. Little whitey tighties.
To be fair, your spaceship would be properly climate controlled. It would be how you're most comfortable. I'm for it. I'm for it.
I'm for it too, yeah.
so if we ever develop spacecrafts that can climatize for people, Jag and Jodar will be flying around naked, or
Well, it would be like airplanes.
You can
I don't
fly.
recommend flying around
Yeah,
naked on
I was
airplanes.
about to say, Jonah. I don't know what kinds of airplanes you've been on, but
But that would be our equivalent to that. But they just have a more accepting culture of being naked, I guess.
Tremaine's never been on one of those party planes to Ibiza.
Shut up.
But I mean, you look at our space, our current, I suppose it is space, like the space station and stuff, and it is like leotards and stuff, quite often.
Ooh.
So
Space is quite a sexual time. Anyway, what I suppose I was. I mean, so do you guys. So, Jonah, do you think you prefer the comedy version of it because of how outrageous the genre's become?
I think I more so prefer the comedy version of it because it's not a newer take, but I feel like it's a more creative take because it's
Right,
the alien invasions, the scary side, or just the more serious side has been done so much that it's become very repetitive,
right. So
which
there's
is
no
boring for
shake
me.
up. There's no shake up in the story, so it needs to be a bit more. Yeah, it just needs to be a bit more shaken up. Which is, yeah, that's a fair point. Okay. So, I mean, I suppose we've talked a bit about what ones we enjoy, what ones we probably talk about which ones we don't enjoy. So, Jag, seems you'll be the starting point for all of this. Which alien invasions do you not enjoy?
I wasn't big on Signs
Yeah,
because
neither was I.
I felt like it didn't make a lot of sense as an alien invasion story or as a aliens and demons, sorry, angels and demons, allegory. I think by trying to do both, it didn't really do either great.
Yeah.
If you're
They
doing,
just went with they took the people being afraid of the like a cornfield, and ran with it.
Yeah. I
Right.
suppose
So
it really is because like the alien part. If you're gonna do aliens, and this is, I know I'm the hard sci-fi guy, but with aliens, they gotta make sense to some extent. You know, they can get all the way to Earth, but water hurts them, and they do nothing to prevent that.
um
I'll give them that. You know, finally, it was an alien story with a reason for aliens to be here. You know, they needed humans as a resource. Because a lot of alien stories, alien invasion stories, it's like they're here to steal our what? They're so technologically advanced. Why would they need to steal our gold or whatever it is?
and then there's also the
Probably make
argument.
it. Isn't it easier to get it from asteroids? Like,
Yeah, exactly. That there's that whole argument of, well, actually, if they need water, there's water in ice fields in space. If they need minerals, most of it comes from asteroids and meteors. I can't remember anyway. It's, I mean, there's so much stuff that they could do, and that doesn't, and then those places don't have a hostile life force on board inside it, getting with guns and nukes and things like that. So I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't. So to be honest, to put my cards on the table, I haven't really watched much Alien Invasion. Most of my stuff comes from video games. So, for example, Jag and I play a lot of used to play a lot of Earth Defense Force, which is like a ridiculously Japanese anime style.
it's like
Why?
if Michael Bay made an anime about ants that fight you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like the costumes are ridiculous. They're so cliche, but it is a good amount of fun. And so when we were playing it, I remember thinking they're spending a lot of stuff trying to conquer Earth. like like we were killing thousands of bugs and destroying tons of equipment, and then those weird frogmen. I mean, it was just it didn't. It was a weird thing, and then I thought, well, is that what most things are? I mean, is that what most invasions are for a lot of people? This perception that there's no, what do you call it? There's no gain to. I mean, invasions usually have a gain to them. There's usually a geopolitical reason. There's usually a resource reason, but in a lot of these, it's just we want to annihilate humans. Why? Because they are humans. And I think that probably for one of my only references is Independence Day. You know, the one where actually is it Will Smith who hits the alien
Yeah,
and
it
says
is.
"Welcome to Earth."
yeah.
um, oof. Um, yeah.
And
So
the ad libbed line of "What the hell is that smell?" That wasn't in the script. It was actually a really bad smell.
so okay. So So yeah, I didn't particularly like that because of its American centric. Not to get into sociology and imperialism already, but it's that sort of American uh, bland sort of like, oh, we're the underdogs. We're going to punch this alien in the face and say welcome to Earth. And it's this sort of whole, I don't know. It's this American centric idea that
I'd
all.
say it feels like it was a little bit made by committee, which is a term for when you just get too many writers usually on a work, and it's like, well, we want this to appeal to as many people as possible, and they take out anything exceptional or interesting to make it mainstream, which is fine for popcorn movies, and there's a lot of enjoyable stuff out there like that. But it can absolutely bland eyes works like that, where it's like, okay, there's no twists, there's nothing interesting.
Right. Yeah.
Why can they hack into the spaceship? Oh, because computers. We based it off their crash technology. Just go with it. It's a lot of almost making excuses for things they don't have to really go into stuff.
Right. Yeah.
But it's an action movie. Kind of. Eh.
So okay. Yeah. And so I think as one of our questions was what would you do in an
Wow, you're
alien?
just gonna ignore me then.
Oh, sorry, fuck, oh my god, sorry. That was, I'll be honest. I need to go to the bathroom. Jodar, what's your what's your least favorite alien invasion story?
Well, I was also going to bring up signs, and now that you say that you talk about it, I forgot that their weakness was water, which makes it even more even less sense. Like the there's water in our atmosphere, and they were like not in suits in that movie. So if it was humid or any kind of they would have just not been in pain the whole time,
The
just
third
walking
most
around.
common thing in the universe, yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense now that I think about it. Oh, that movie was so bad. I didn't like the fourth kind either. It's so generic. Um, and I feel like everyone's scared of that movie because I guess people who are in general are scared of the idea of like what would happen actually if aliens invaded or if there are aliens here already are scared of that movie because it's like a kind of like a paranormal activity kind of setting, right? Is it that one?
The
Fourth kind, where
fourth
it's like
kind,
home videos.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't like the home video thing either. Um, and the most recent season of American Horror Story was absolutely terrible and involved aliens. And it was just like they were the standard grays and they were like they wanted to interbreed with humans to be able to exist on our atmosphere in our atmosphere. Um, so they were like waiting and kept and they abducted someone and if they had a somewhat viable offspring they would keep them there and continue to breed them. It was like a farm for humans, which like the concept of it is okay. It was just done really badly and it was like super generic and yeah. I don't like anything that's just a bunch of tropes as we talked about last week. So I feel like those cover tropes and then also it has to make sense. Science just makes no sense.
I liked some of the cinematography. I liked some of the jump scares pretty good. Like they were well shot, but as a story, what?
Yeah, I
Um,
just don't like a lot of horror or like serious
and
focused
was it water or
alien
holy
stuff.
water? And are they demons?
Yeah, I
Uh,
don't know.
speaking of fourth kind, so you're not a big fan of like psychological thrillers in your sci-fi. That's fair. Um,
I it not surrounding aliens, no.
mm, so the one thing where I was like, huh, is when on the tape, there's a strange language being spoken, and of course, the specialist in ancient languages goes, oh, "That's Sumerian." We have no idea what Sumerian sounds like. Like, there's no, there's literally nothing we have for any of its phonemes, any of its sounds at all. We only have it in written form. Um,
There's only guesses at what it sounds like.
Right. Yeah.
Based on like regional stuff and it's yeah. That happens a lot in movies where they have a specialist and the specialist whatever they say is actually not possible to know in
yeah.
the actual field. So yeah, it happens a lot just as a filler, I think. So they don't just like have someone say, "Oh, it's Sumerian." They have to make sure it's a specialist, so at least there's a something it could fall on.
there was something I wanted your opinion on regarding War of the Worlds, Jodar.
Yeah.
So I know for at the time it was rather progressive in that it was essentially a story of how would you like it if you were the ones that we were doing all these things to, because Britain was doing a lot of those things at the time. Oh, technologically superior people would just come in and just slaughter. You have no chance. But the idea that it was a virus or bacteria that killed all the aliens, kind of, I don't want to say parallel, but it does make me think of what happened to the Native Americans, um, where they got absolutely decimated by, old world illnesses. And it's quite often portrayed, even in just real life, as almost a moral failing to get sick. That's my understanding of American culture.
Yeah.
So does it come off as a bit like? Did you feel anything with that, or is it me from
I'm gonna
far
be
outside
honest,
seeing
I
something
don't
different?
remember a lot about that movie. I remember more about the Scary Movie depiction of it. You know what that is? The Scary Movie series.
Yeah, there's like 3 good ones.
They have a depiction of War of the Worlds. I remember more about that than I do the actual War of the Worlds.
Okay.
Um, but the whole like imperialism thing with the parallels with Britain, that is seen a lot in Asian movies and in general. I think we talked a bit about this in the first episode. Um, a lot of alien invasion movies cover imperialism, whether it's on the side of the imperialists or not. The disease is a good question. Um, I would say yes in American culture, especially with our like capitalistic focus and like health, for-profit health system. Like it is seen as a like kind of a weakness or a moral failing to be sick because um our society puts that on our as our fault rather than like a biological thing that happens.
Mm.
um so it is interesting though that in that case the imperialists would be the ones dying rather than like you said it was the indigenous individuals that are like communities that were being wiped out. I don't know.
But it's just, the good guys are the ones that don't get sick in that. But also it's because they kind of coexist with endemic illness. So I don't know. It may have been like for the time it was definitely progressive.
Yeah, yeah, I could see that. And then it makes sense if you think about it, like any population that gets introduced to a new population, like a brand new population biologically, there's going to be probably illness that gets spread between the two. Um, so I'm not sure how much of that is loaded or just like an idea someone had based on just that fact.
Right, yeah. Because, I mean, whenever we've had new human groups interact with new human groups, it's usually followed by a great deal of pandemics and things
Mm-hmm.
like that. So, I mean, it's like the North Centralese. Like, if we were to, even though they don't want to talk to us, even if we were trying to open that, we would probably kill them all in like a very quick set of disease. The first people who ever interacted with them. Um, Not that I think we should probably try to interact with them. They clearly don't want to be talked to. Okay, so.
They need religion, God. No.
If you wanna know well, sorry, I shouldn't speak for Jodar or Jag, but if you want to know my opinion on the guy who got killed, trying to convert the indigenous people of North Sentinel, just go watch Frankie Boyle's New World Order on it. Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. So, okay, so is everyone happy with that? So, we'll move on to what would you do in an alien invasion, Jodar?
Uh, anything that I can to get off this planet.
uh,
So no change then.
Yeah, no change. I'd be a traitor to humankind. Get me off this planet.
You dirty little rat.
I honestly think that I would do better, and if it was just like no communication, just them trying to kill us, I would thrive. I would just rip off my clothes and run around like with weapons, katanas. I don't know.
Katanas. I'm just imagining that. It's just like you running around like, oh my god, the aliens are, what the fuck? And it's just,
You just see a really white like blur run by with some silver like glinting in the sun, and then all the aliens that were in front of you are dead, and then you were like, "What was that?"
and then you die as she cuts you down.
I mean, as we touched on a previous episode, humans are space orcs. So
Yes, what was that, what was the story again, Jake? It was the one where humans were the only ones that were able to pull the trigger. Or who
and
had...
just in general, humans are space orcs. Like we have bones in our mouth, and so if we bite people, they can die from it. Like humans are weird.
Yeah,
How many?
the human bite is one of the deadliest bites,
It's strong enough to break bones, and teeth are in fact stronger than bone. So
and our mouths are gross, so we spread a lot of grossness with those bites.
You're telling
uh,
me.
if you
No.
look at this from an alien perspective, it's like we'd probably
Like
be
it'd be a
crazy
poison bite, yeah.
if a
And that's
human
one thing.
charges you. Don't
One thing
stop
I have
shooting.
noticed watching a lot of like sci-fi and action and horror movies. People don't bite a lot, especially when they're like being held by someone. I would be chomping away.
taking
That's
chunk taking chunks of flesh away. The reason Jodas,
yeah.
if you're wondering why Joda's bringing up horror so much, it's because she recently played Outlast on her stream on her Twitch channel JJODAR.
That has nothing to do with
Joda, shut up!
with
I'm plugging out. I was trying
I'm
to
getting
work.
2 new watches. Come on.
true, true.
Yeah.
True. I guess you can watch me on my stream, but that is not alien focused. Um, but I do consume a lot of horror content on and off stream.
Oh dear. So
Also
yeah,
Marvel stuff.
yeah.
I've been watching a lot of lately.
Which is why we're probably going to move this away from sci-fi and towards just fi. Um,
Do like fi.
I do like fi. Um, so okay, so Jake, what would you do in an alien invasion?
Probably along the lines of War of the Worlds. A lot of hiding and eventually giving up. I mean, that is kind of the main character's storyline, and
Right.
it seems reasonable.
Okay, so I mean, obviously, as a coward, I would simply commit suicide because, yeah.
Now we have to add a trigger warning
Do we? Okay, I'll just cut that.
or a content warning.
Why would... Okay, so next question. Why would aliens invade, Jag?
This is why I don't like a lot of alien invasion stories, is because there's very few good reasons. um, you know, you could either go with signs sort of thing, where it's like, oh, they want resources. In that case, humans. Um, go District 9, where they're basically refugees.
Oh, I love District 9. I didn't even think of that.
You could go The Day the Earth Stood Still, where they've realized that we've reached a point in our societal development where we can, well, maybe not in that version, but we can join a galactic society. Like, you've developed enough. So, why would they invade? They probably wouldn't.
Yeah, I don't see a great reason besides either
It's a long way
studying
to
us.
travel.
So long way to
Yeah.
travel
That'd
just
be
to
expensive.
die. So
Like, as much as we think that we've progressed in society, we really haven't. So I feel like maybe to make fun of us, like we're like on like the Doctor Who TV show that goes out to the rest of the galaxies, and they kind of just make fun of us.
If we're looking for realistic reasons for an alien to invade, then maybe this is less invasion and more just,
Showing up.
they'd nuke us from space. But
Oh yeah.
the idea that it's kind of an answer to Fermi's paradox, where maybe the reason why we don't see a lot of aliens is because there's a species or a number of species that just don't want the competition, and so once you reach, I don't know, the point where we start sending out messages saying, "Hey, here's who we are, here's where we are," aliens go, "Ooh, stop that," and just want to wipe us out.
oh, nope. Killed
So
them.
thank you, the Arecibo message. You've told everyone where we live.
You've doomed us all. What I do like the idea of them being like, ooh, okay, maybe they're cool. Maybe they're cool. Let's go check them out from a distance.
Oh, they're not cool.
Oh, well, they get there they get there, and you know that thing where because they're far away, they see backwards in time. They just see World War II, just like, yeah, that doesn't.
Yeah, no. Let's just wipe them out here.
Yeah, that's a lot of dead people.
Yeah, there is a
maybe
short story in one of my collections, I can't remember which, where it is basically that the aliens having a meeting and being like, okay, so Sol 3 seems to have developed nuclear capabilities, so they should be soon to progress past the energy crisis and develop travel. Oh, we got a memo. They're testing them in their own atmosphere. It's just explosions. Right, quarantine them.
Yeah,
How
that's what
bad?
I was saying
They're
is
not
they
ready.
just probably make fun of us.
I do like the idea of just like them and the council, just like, oh wow, it'd be interesting to see what they bring to the What?
Nothing.
What do you mean they just detonated the? What do you mean they detonated it on a city? Who does that? And just looking around at the table, just like, who does that? Why would you do that? What?
We did let the Canadians in, and they tested nuclear explosions on their own planet. So, people? How many?
I was this is kind of off topic. Have you heard of that show called The Midwife? It's a BBC show.
I've definitely heard the name.
Is it the one with that tall lady in it?
I mean, it has a tall lady in it.
The one who played Miranda Hart. Anyway,
I don't remember. But they had an episode. They just released a new season on Netflix, so I was watching it. They had an episode where they had babies being born with missing limbs, and then they find out this is set in like the 1950s. And then they find out that all of the fathers of these children were on a specific mission with the British military, where they just sat on a boat and were just watching nukes go off close range.
Oh, yes.
And they didn't think that anything
That was a thing.
Yeah. It's just weird to me. I don't know. I feel like now I don't know.
The Baker's Test, Operation Crossroads.
I'm going to go out on a
Yeah.
limb here and say, I think we need more human testing. Things like that just really, just really brings it home. I mean, as long as it's not being done to me, I don't really. Anyway,
Probably would be, given
yeah.
your demographic.
Fuck off.
They
Yeah.
would probably go after you first.
So that was probably the 1946 tests at Bikini Atoll, where they're like, "What happens? How good are nukes against warships?" And
Yeah, they were just on a warship and had just they all they said was all they had to do was turn their back is what they were told.
whereas now they say lie down on your front with your feet towards the explosion. Still a problem.
I've heard get into a refrigerator.
Yeah, that makes sense if they're lead blind.
Indiana
I feel
of
like no matter what,
Yeah,
Jones.
it does.
you're
You're
out of luck.
fucked. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
fucked either
So you're
way. I
I saw there was one I just saw a video recently that goes into full detail on what to do in like a nuclear bomb um situation.
Was it
And it's like
classic duck and cover, or was it like a modern take?
um no, I'll have to send it to you later. I have it saved just in case.
it's it's same just
I
in
mean,
case the
I am
nukes
in the US,
just in
so
case the
who
nukes fly,
knows?
but internet stays up. Yeah. Um.
Who knows what our or
Anyway.
the actions of our government will lead us to. So,
So Jesus Christ. Um, okay. So yeah. Okay. Now, finally, and I do mean finally. Just looking past my mic. There we are. What would your ideal say? Okay, so say Jodar, you are the alien matriarch of a vast army of aliens invading Earth. What would your ideal army look like? Would
um,
you be like? Would you nuke us from orbit? Would you just Death Star us? What would you do?
it's a good question. I There's part of me that would want to be up and like close and have everyone do like hand-to-hand combat,
That's the
but
part
just
of you
have
that's a nutcase, yeah.
yeah, where I would just like take off all my clothes with katanas. That part of me.
ignites
Um,
ignites light
and then there's part
guitars.
of me that doesn't think that if I were the head of an alien army, um, I wouldn't look at us twice, like care enough to sacrifice any lives of my own people. Just so I would just Death Star probably.
Oh my god! Hey, have you guys noticed that second moon? That's you just hear the ghost of Alec Guinness. That's no
Yeah,
moon. That's no moon. What?
it wouldn't be like I don't think that if we're like super advanced, and again, I feel like people in power have that kind of like huge ego. So if that's me and I end up having that huge ego, I wouldn't care about or like give enough thought towards humans to sacrifice any of my own people for it.
Right. So you would do like the whole nukes from orbit or Death Star or like
Yeah.
or just simply walk past it.
Yeah.
So ew, it's like sort of walking past dog shit or something. Anyway,
That place stinks.
God, look how much treasures in the ocean. Anyway, Jack, what's your
Hmm.
ideal alien invasion force?
For a successful one,
Yeah, or
where,
for the
where I
most
want to
entertaining
do it.
one.
So, in terms of success, it depends on what your goal is. For example, if I was alien and I wanted the Earth, but not so much the people, just a blanketing of neutron bombs.
Oh, what are neutron bombs?
Um, so it's a type of nuclear weapon which, in a normal nuclear weapon, the neutrons are used to, I might get this wrong, like it goes back into the bomb to enhance the explosion,
Right.
whereas in a neutron bomb, the case lets neutrons out. So when there's the nuclear explosion, the neutrons escape. So the explosions aren't as big. It does less damage to like buildings and stuff. But neutrons will smash clean through like tanks and just cause radiation poisoning on all living things. So if you blanket the world with that, you have a sterilized planet. It doesn't take quite so long for the residual radiation to leave.
Right.
Basically, just autoclave the Earth.
And if you wanted to keep humans alive, like if you wanted them as like, I don't know, say that humans have like the only hands that can sort of reach inside a certain artifact and they need to be enslaved. How would you enslave human energy, Jodar? You answered that after him as well.
Safari. Just make it a safari.
A what?
Like, hey, you can, we found this planet. Any of our people can go down. You're limited in the tools you can use. Go hunting, Make it fun.
Fun for the whole thing.
That sounds amazing. I would guess. I would.
Needed people, then guess them, yeah.
No, I would. Excuse my language. Gaslight the fuck out of the human race.
Oh, gaslight.
Yeah, and make them think that they're working in our interest or in their own interest when they're just actually working in our interest.
So, Jodar, what would you do to? So, is that what you would do to enslave humanity?
Yeah, they would give me their freedom willingly.
Yeah, that seems about right. Okay.
But the hunting sounds the most dangerous game pathway sounds fun too.
Welcome aboard Earth, where some of the most dangerous people live. You just see a little old lady walking across the street.
And you turn it into like Jurassic Park, which is like a zoo with humans.
I don't think we should talk about human zoos. Those aren't.
Yeah, those existed, but this would be in the aspect as if I am an alien. So.
Oh no.
Not a British museum.
Belgian as well. Which I think it was just a European thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for Oh my god, why did we bring that up? It was such a bad idea. Anyway,
that was your.
I mean, you drew the connection. We're talking as if hypothetically we are alien races.
Yeah.
So
anyway,
Tremaine, you fully had the choice about talking more on human resistance, like in Attack the Block, or all these options we could have gone with, and you went with. What about human zoos?
What about human zoos? Okay, so we've talked about how you would pacify, how you would enslave. Now, here is the creme de la creme.
Too genetically diverse, you could never interbreed. Don't do it.
Okay, thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to join the conversation on Facebook and to follow us on Instagram. And also to go follow Jodar on her streaming on Twitch. Thank you for listening. Yeah, it'll be in the
And if you are watching, how? This is an audio format.
Well, it's also on YouTube. So
we're on YouTube?
Okay.
How?
Yeah, I don't know.
Is it just an audio file on YouTube?
I don't know, Jodar. Meth's a hell of a drug. Anyway, bye!
Bye!